Well, the last video you saw was from a new series that I'm going to start doing, and we are calling it Pictures Don't Do It Justice. Now, that's something that I'll be doing in a bunch of different cities, maybe multiple in Chicago to start, to be honest, because that's where I am, but hopefully getting to a point where whenever I travel for work, I can add a day onto the trip, or if I'm on a trip just for leisure, I can do it there, or eventually, ideally, go somewhere for one of the videos. I have the video pretty much done to the point where it's ready to just drop the photo in and export, but I haven't edited the photo, which is what the entire video is. So join me right now for a long form video of me running through literally everything that I do when I'm editing this photo. If you want me to upload the raw photos so you can follow along right now, drop a comment down below, and once I get 10 people commenting it, I'll drop a link down there so you can download it and run through this entire edit with the exact photo that I'm editing. I think for you young creatives, it's going to be very beneficial for you to actually go through the process. I already narrowed down all of the photos. That was 137 photos to 17 of them. So we'll click through them right here. We have this one. This one's super high resolution. It's about 6 different photos stitched together. So whenever you zoom in, it's kind of ridiculous how much resolution you have. It's loading and loading. And look at that. That's ridiculous how much you can zoom in and maintain so much resolution. All that is a panoramic photo, but you shoot it vertically and then it ends up coming out wide. Pro tip. And so this is the dilemma now. I love this photo, really like that photo. Before we go any further, throw me a subscription. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. So you doing that helps me make these videos better. And yes, I do put a hat on in this video and change a big part of the image. So you're not gonna wanna miss that. Like these ones, and that one I think might be the money shot, and it's already cropped, but I'll explain. I already went ahead and I edited this one. This one is the one that I edited, thought it was good, but then I hated that the water wasn't part of it. In the Chicago skyline, the water is a huge part of it, especially looking at the view from the planetarium. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to edit this photo. Let's totally reset it, start from scratch. All it was some basic contrast, all that, whenever I was just playing around, seeing which photo I actually wanted to use. So there's 2 options here that we can do. We can do a wide one, where we go here. Definitely want to crop out that junk on the bottom, straighten it out. I don't like this bottom area though. This, I believe, just takes away from the entire photo, and I don't want to Photoshop it out because, in my opinion, whenever you see this, you know where you are. And if a Chicago person's looking at the photo with this totally Photoshopped out and it looks like this glass is just on the water, it's fake. I'm all about a fake sky, but when it comes to actually faking how things are on land, I'm not really about that. I just noticed my hair is an absolute mess. I'll be right back. Let me go grab a hat. Today we're repping the Marlins hat, so let's toss that on. Add a little pop of color to the frame as well. Back to the edit. Now this one right here, like I mentioned, I don't like this bottom part. So I think what we're gonna do is go vertical, because if we crop in horizontal where you can see a little bit of the glass, I don't mind it. Let's see what the building's centered. We're really losing a lot of resolution now. Can't crop a ton with the 20 megapixels, and I don't want to lose too much of the resolution. In an ideal world, this would probably be my composition, but we're actually gonna go vertical. That's the world we live in, right? We're going to go 4x5 vertical for Instagram. Make sure it's all lined up. The biggest thing we're looking for right now is for the building to be totally up and down. The horizon isn't going to be perfect because it is on a curve, but as long as the building is lined up straight up and down, we're ready to rock. So now, first step, we are going to make sure that our composition is perfect. So let's mess around skyline, maybe go to the bottom of this glass right here. I don't want that much of the sky in it. Definitely want some of this dome in it, much of this glass. I actually might go ahead and crop the photo down a little bit more because I want it to be a lot of this glass down here, because that's the unique part of this. We're not just in any city looking at a skyline. This is a really unique style that the planetarium has, and I think if a Chicago native sees this, that is where they're gonna know, oh, they were at the planetarium for this. And at the end of the day, we want people to know that, because if we see another person and they say that photos from the planetarium don't do Chicago justice, well, we got to prove them wrong. I want everybody to see this photo. So go ahead, share my video, share the photo, whatever you see. And please get this out there so we don't get that answer anymore. So let's go ahead and start making some basic corrections. Whenever I'm editing this photo, things that I'm looking at are the sky, the skyline, and then this bottom part. We're gonna edit in 4 different sections actually. So we'll do the sky, we'll do the skyline, we'll do the water, and then we'll do this glass and planetarium area. There's a chance that we might end up editing this dome separately because it's so different from this. And as you see, we got a nice gradient coming. So this is where my mindset goes with this. I don't know if we're gonna go super bright or kind of a moodier tone. If we go to the one that I edited already, I did it moody and I don't really love it. So we're gonna try and go in a brighter direction with this photo. So we're gonna go ahead and make some minor corrections. Make sure that nothing's blown out. Pro tip, if you go too bright with anything and mouse over this arrow in the top right, well, the red means that it's blown out. You lost all your whites. So let's reset that. Same thing for the blacks. If you drop the blacks, things go to the far left, mouse over that. Anything that's blue on your picture then, well, that means the blacks are true blacks and you got no more data. So let's reset that. That's the power of having a properly exposed photo, because you don't have to worry about that. So right now we're brightening it up, making some basic corrections, spreading out that histogram. So we want some stuff over here, some over there. You ask me, right here, we need to deepen our blacks, add some contrast here. So we want some of the photo. We lost some there, but I'm not really mad about that, to be honest. We might mess around with it and try and pull those back, but we might end up just getting those back whenever we isolate with the mask. Not messing with the contrast a whole lot to start, really just making sure everything's even. Let's not worry about any of the colors with the vibrant saturation quite yet. That's gonna maybe be the cherry on top whenever we actually isolate everything and then go back and do the basic adjustments. So now, maybe drop the clarity a little bit. I'm a big fan of a softer photo. You pump it too much, you just destroy the image. Drop it too much, and it looks like you got a crazy pro mist filter on and you're trying to be some crazy artist. But to be honest, I like that a lot more than I like that. So we're going on the lower end. Drop it right now. Let's go minus 10, 11. We're good there. And now make some basic curves. Maybe just a classic S curve. Brighten those highlights up. Darken the shadows a little bit, and then we're gonna pop the midtones. Maybe even bring those shadows up a little bit, because I know I'm gonna end up adding contrast down here, but don't want to crush that too much. I'm just curious. This is how my workflow is. I try things, usually don't use them, but you try. You go to extremes. You warm it up, you cool it down. Neither of those are good. Now you see what you're actually working with. What we're gonna try here, let's see what it'll look like in black and white. To be honest, I like it, but I'm not gonna use it. So let's go ahead and start on our masking. So for our masking, we're gonna go ahead and first thing we're gonna select is the sky. Let's go up to this tool right here and then click select sky, add a new mask to the sky. All the stuff that's red is what we're gonna select here. So once you make an adjustment, you see you're only adjusting the sky. And like I mentioned, we're gonna make this brighter. We're gonna make it a brighter image overall and really trying to make it an even image, not too high contrast, but also not too low contrast, but on the bright end. I know it sounds confusing, but you know, this is how my mind works. My mind doesn't always connect the dots right away. We have an idea, we run with it, and sometimes it's not perfect. But right now I'm making some nice simple adjustments to the sky. One thing that I'm seeing happen right here is the sky's starting to turn some shade of blue, and also whenever I mess with things too much, you get some blown out clouds in here. We want even clouds where it doesn't distract your eye at all. If we pop those whites a little bit too much, you see in this section, it gets blown out. We're gonna go back, maybe brighten it up a little bit, not quite let it get to that point of being too bright. But I don't like how blue they are. Mess with warming it up, not a fan. Desaturate it. For now, we're gonna desaturate and warm it up a little bit. We're gonna come back to that once we see what the tones of the rest of the image look like, but for now, let's move on. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust this bottom area. The reason we're not doing the skyline right away is because this bottom area is actually gonna help us select the skyline whenever we create the masks. We're trying to be efficient here. I'm not trying to take 4 hours. We're trying to be efficient and we're trying to do a good job. So go ahead, create mask. We're gonna go linear gradient. What this is gonna do is we're gonna soften it after we click, and then we're gonna release once we think it's ready to go. So once you release, you see everything that's red is what's being selected. One thing you see right here is this top part of the bottom glass area is not selected. So what you can do is you can click on that mask 2, click add, and then the brush tool is what we're gonna use. You can scroll on your mouse. So I'm using this Apple mouse. If you scroll up, it makes it bigger, down makes it smaller. Go ahead and start to mask out that area. So don't be too worried about it being perfect. I don't think we're making any really crazy adjustments where it's gonna affect everything on a super hard line. I like when things are softer and you can't tell where the mask is personally, so that's the direction I'm gonna go. First things first, we want to brighten it up to maintain that bright feel. And right away, whenever you brighten it up, you see we're not adjusting this top part here. So we're gonna go back into that brush and we're gonna run over our brush with that top part of the glass, making sure that we get the same edits on this top part as we do on the bottom. So back to editing it, and we're gonna brighten it up, add a little bit of contrast. We're gonna bring the shadows up and drop the blacks, because whenever you bring the shadows up, it maintains that data in the darks. Dropping the blacks gets you that contrasted look. Bring the shadows down a little bit, add some contrast, pump the whites, because we want these vertical lines to be pumped in white. We want those to be bright and contrasted with the black horizontal ones. Bring those whites up a little bit more because we want that nice gradient, and see what we like more, the black and white feel or the blue feel. Personally, if we're going with a brighter kind of vibe for this photo, I like whenever it's got a little blue tint to it. So we're gonna keep the blue tint, warm it up a little bit maybe. We're not gonna do anything with that because what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and we're gonna isolate the different color tones later. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and we are going to drop the blacks back down. Now, I like the contrast. I do think whenever you zoom in, it's a little bit noisy in here and kind of lower resolution than I would like for it to be. When you see it wide, you don't actually notice that. Let's go back to see how much I cropped in. A lot. A lot of people are going to be in the comments saying, don't crop in that much with 20 megapixels. I know, but we're posting this on Instagram. I'm not blowing it up on a billboard, so mind your business, please. We're gonna not worry about this bottom part right now. We're trying to balance tones right now and get our different masks in place. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to go ahead and select the water. So there's 2 ways you can select the water, really. You can go to your mask and you can create a new one. And once you go to create a new one, you could click brush and then brush out the entire water. But that's not really what I want to do. Sounds like a waste of time. I don't know. I just don't love the idea of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here to our mask that we have for the bottom. We're going to duplicate that. Once we duplicate it, yeah, we got to reset all those values for this mask. We don't want it to be crunched like that. So it's all reset. Nope. Now it's all reset. And we're going to go ahead, right click, and we're going to invert it. So now we're selecting everything above. Once we select everything above, we can go ahead, we can subtract with a linear gradient, and we're gonna subtract the skyline now. Once we subtract the skyline, bring that, don't want it to be feathered too much. And then we're gonna subtract a brush, get that brush over here, brush out that left side, and then do a nice pass over top of here along the horizon. So now we see all that red is the water. That's what we want to be selected. Let's pump the contrast to see what we have, pump the exposure. We got a good range selected, so we know the water is going to be isolated. No, I'm not keeping it that high a contrast. Now pumping the highlights a little bit, and one of the things we are 100% going to do here after we get our basic adjustments in place is we're going to go to this color tab right here. Now right here, you can select any color to just add to the water. You can make it green if you want. It's not St. Patty's Day in Chicago. You can go pink. Nice. Not for me. We're sticking blue. We're going a subtle kind of blue because right now it is blue, but it's not bright. It's not a nice blue. And believe it or not, if you've never been to Chicago before, the lake is actually very blue. So this isn't fake. We want to keep it more on the teal end because I still have a little bit of teal and orange in me. And look at that before and after the photo so far. Now we can go up to this mask and we can click this eyeball to see the before and after of that mask specifically. And I like it so far. What's gonna really change this photo is whenever we isolate the skyline, because we want that skyline to pop. We don't want the focus of this to be the sky, the water, the bottom. We want, in order, I would say the focus of this image will be the skyline, and then the bottom glass, and then the water, and then the sky. So let's dial in that skyline. We're gonna select it in a very similar way that we have selected the other spots. We're gonna go up here, create mask. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna select the sky. Once we select the sky, we're gonna right click on that, we're gonna invert it. So we don't have the sky selected, we have everything else selected. Then we're gonna go to subtract. We're gonna subtract a linear gradient. And yeah, you guessed it, we're gonna subtract this bottom part from the water down. Then you see we have this foreground of the planetarium selected. We're gonna go subtract again, brush, and brush that out, man. This planetarium is not getting much love so far, but I promise I'll come back to you. I'm not leaving you out. We just gotta focus on this for now. So let's make those even adjustments right now. As you see, there's not a ton of data in the buildings. We are shooting with the old Mavic 2 Pro, so it's not a perfect drone, but it gets the job done. Warm it up a little bit. I like that warmer feeling. We just got to make sure that the tones are balanced so it's not like cool in the foreground, warm at the skyline. We're gonna drop those blacks. Bring the shadows up, drop blacks, bring the whites up. Really gonna pop those whites. Highlights don't really do much. Whites, contrast. You just dropped it. Don't want to drop the exposure. All right, I'm just talking through this with you guys because I don't know exactly the direction I'm gonna go so far. But right here, you see we have some nice balanced tones up in the skyline. And it's gonna take a lot of isolating to really dial this skyline in, because you see this building, the Sears building right here, also known as the Willis Tower, but I live in Chicago, so I call it the Sears Tower. It is not blue in real life. It is black. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go step by step. Let's zoom on in. Whoops. Zoom on into the building. Grab a nice little brush tool and make it bigger. Just a rough brush around this. Not too worried about being perfect again. Yeah, go ahead and sue me if you think it's gonna be noticeable, but I don't. We're just gonna desaturate it and we're gonna drop the shadows here, maybe drop the blacks. And I'll bring up the whites. Add a little contrast, and let's zoom out and see what we got. So I like the direction we're going there. We gotta maintain that bright look though. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go ahead and we're gonna run a rough brush over top of all these different bright colored buildings. You know, these tans, the grays, all the ones that feel bright, because that's what's gonna help us get that brighter look. Bet you couldn't have guessed that. So going ahead, selecting them once again, very roughly. Don't kill yourself trying to make them perfect. We're still isolating everything. Actually, I think using soft brushes helps you maintain a style and blend everything together. So when you go here, pop the highlights, pop the whites, that looks horrible. Desaturate that a little bit, add some contrast, and bring those shadows up. You see they're turning blue now, so let's warm it up. Not warm it up too much. We want the tones to be natural. So we're done with that for now, and I like how it looks. The only thing I don't like is whenever you look at it, it looks a little bit pink. So let's bring it back to the greens. I'm thinking we're gonna isolate the blues now. The blues in the buildings could help this image a ton. So same thing, we're gonna go ahead to our mask 7 now. Grab those blues. Now the people at home, they're saying use the color selector. I'm not doing that because it would also select the water. But let's go ahead, select the blues. Doot. All right, feeling good about that. We're gonna zoom out. All right, select those blues and let's go. Boom, blue. I like it. Bring the shadows up, brighten it. We want a bright photo. We want it to be bright, bright, bright. Oh, that does not look good. Desaturate a little bit. I was thinking we were gonna go to the color panel right here and add some blues. One of the things I'm noticing right now is the top of this building is not selected. So go in here to the mask, use your brush to select the top of that building. I think the blues look a little bit too bright, to be honest, so we'll warm them up. I like it right there because they're clearly isolated because we know, but the before and after is starting to look good, but it's too dark in my opinion. So we're gonna go ahead. How can we brighten this up? Well, the trees aren't green, but we're gonna make them green. Go ahead, grab a brush and run a very just subtle brush along there. Rough, just to see where we start, how we're gonna go about this. So I think adding green to this could work out, but I don't know if this is the image to do it to, or if we just need to make a better brush. Maybe dark. Oh, that looks so bad. All right, brighten it up, drop the whites. I don't know. I thought this might look good, but now looking at it, it just looks fake. So let's go ahead. What we're gonna do as a last hope, because you think about it, the top of the tree is the only part that's actually going to be green if we're talking real life here. So select that mask, subtract, grab that linear brush, and we're gonna subtract the bottom part of our mask. Now you gotta fine tune this, make sure it's lined up with the horizon that we're playing with here. Zoom out, and I think that actually might be good. I like that. Oh, make sure you select the mask when you're making your adjustments. Make that green. Bring those shadows up. Drop the blacks. We don't want it to be too crazy, but we want it to look good. That right there just livened up the photo a ton. And looking at the water next to that green, the tones just don't match because that blue is a warmer blue. Yes, a warmer blue is something that exists. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna warm up the trees a little bit. Warm them up, desaturate them. Oh, be careful because whenever you desaturate, it doesn't desaturate the color that you're adding. So we're gonna bring that down. Never mind. Bring it up a little bit. Pop some greens in there. I like that. I think that looks good for now. The greens look green. One thing right here. Let's grab the brush and deselect that building. That's a dead giveaway of what we're doing here. People are going, it's fake. It was taken in March. Get it out of here. Don't blow up my spot. Only blow up my spot if you're watching this video. So we got our tree selected there. The green helps. The green adds a little bit to it. And what else is gonna add something to it is the brown on the planetarium. 30-minute record limit on the R5 sucks. This is gonna be my longest video for sure. But we're diving deep into this. And I think, well, just notice some more green. Sorry, we just keep going back. We're gonna go to our brush that we had before that was deselecting. Deselect that foreground. This is not green. This is a nice brown. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go ahead, add yet another mask and mask out all of this right there. Mess with it. that looks good. And it is orange in real life. That is going to help our photo a ton, be a lot more dynamic and not actually gloomy. It was kind of gloomy out there. Not super gloomy, but it definitely wasn't bright like we're trying to make it. We're going to go to the color tab once again. We're going to add some oranges to that because that is the color that this was. I think it's a little bit distracting, so we're going to, ayo, no mask alert back there. So we'll darken that. Drop that, bring the shadows up, little contrast, drop set, bring the saturation back up. Good. I like it so far. We're definitely going to make adjustments on it at a later date. So now it's a little secret time. And if you're here, you're being let in on a big secret. Because no, we didn't have clear skies come in all of a sudden. And no, we did not have miraculously blue skies come in out of nowhere. Get on close. Come here. We're doing a sky replacement. Yep, we're doing it. I'm sending it. That's what's going to take this photo over the edge. And to my knowledge, I am probably wrong here. I don't think you can do one in Lightroom. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to right click and we are going to go to edit in Photoshop. This is going to open up Photoshop. This image that we're editing right now. Yeah, I'm watching the Big J special. Highly recommend. Big comedy fan over here. Drop a comment below if you like comedy podcasts, because that's what I listen to most of my life. Anyways, we're in Photoshop now. Pro tip, you want to duplicate your layer before you edit anything. Command J is going to duplicate it on a Mac. If you're not on a Mac, I don't know, probably something similar. Maybe Control J, something along those lines. The keyboard shortcuts are very similar. And sky replacements are the easiest thing on earth now in Photoshop. So we're going to go to edit and then to sky replacement. That's crazy. It hasn't always been like that. Ooh, that sky sucks. Well, let's just go ahead, select the sky like it's summertime Chicago. This photo is totally different. So let me know if you noticed it before, but the blue sky is going to help. Now let's pick a sky that actually works. No, we're not going to use one of these insane sunsets because every photographer would be using that. One of the things I'm seeing right now is, like, for example, if we wanted to use this, something we're going to have to do is actually just move the sky that we're using. Like right here, obviously looks horrible, but if we had a dark sky up here, not going to look good. So we're going to go ahead, find one that matches our tones. Don't worry about it lining up right now. I'm leaning towards this one right here. Maybe one of these because the clouds feel like Chicago more. But I love these swift clouds that we have going on. So let's mess around with this. We're going to scale it up because we cropped in a lot. And we want that to match. So imagine we have that boat in the bottom. Little Easter egg for only you guys to know. And now we're going to blend it. So brighten it up so it matches the tones of the photo. And then I don't know how this exactly works, but we can drop that, fade the edge. Oh no, we don't want to fade the edge too much because I see we're losing some data in those top needles of the Sears Tower. So I don't love that, to be totally honest. So I think we might be dialed in there. Let's check our pulls here. This one is making me nervous, and I think what we can do, since this is technically a selection right there, we can zoom on in, go B to get the brush tool, make it smaller by hitting this. I don't know what the tool is, but I'll show you. This, focus, that one right there. That'll help you out. That'll make your brush smaller. The other one will make it bigger. And right here, you see we're gonna actually grab a black brush. So mess around with it and just see if it's working. Yes, it's working, but we need the tiniest brush of all time. And what we're gonna do is drop the opacity of it to 20 because we don't want it to be a big difference. We don't want to reveal those clouds in the background. which is going to be tough. And that's why we need a small brush, and we need it to be subtle. We just want to bring back more of this needle so that people don't say, hey, Joey's a phony and did a sky replacement. Let's reveal some more of this. I like it. I like it. Now I think we got to zoom out to double check. We got to do a little bit more of the top because you can clearly see that it blends towards the top. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. Man, this is like the length of a podcast. I appreciate you guys sticking around for this long. I know I would enjoy this video, so maybe you will as well. Right there, I really like it. And what we can do is make some adjustments to our sky. So brighten it up, darken it. We're going to brighten it up. And then actually what we're going to end up doing is brightening up the entire rest of the photo. But we'll do that once we're back in Lightroom. So go ahead, save it, Command S. Wait for it to be done saving here. And then once you hop back into Lightroom, it should pop on up. And there we are. So you got the old one right here, and you got the new one right there. One of the annoying things is that it deletes all of our masks, so make sure your masking is done before you hop into doing the sky replacement. And go ahead and let's go and select the sky. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and invert it. Because like I mentioned, we're gonna edit everything but the sky to brighten it up and even the lighting out. We have totally transformed this photo into something that I think I might hang on my wall. That's the goal for all of these, is hanging it on my wall. If it's to that point, it's money. So what are some imperfections that we have here? From my rough masking, we got something right here, on this edge, where let's fix it. Grab our brush tool, grab a soft brush along the edge there. Let's add some blue. Too much. Matching this water, warm it up, and that feels good. No, still too bright. We gotta darken it. Select that mask, bring the exposure down a little, maybe the highlights, and keep the exposure where it was. Drop the highlights. Don't want it to be aligned in the other direction either. That looks better. I like it. And now we're going to go ahead and balance this photo even more. So what are some things that I look at and I'm not crazy about? I want this to have a nicer gradient, and more so this not to be so screaming blue. I want it to be more natural, and I want it to also be the same tones as the sky. Right now this is a teal, this is blue. Don't like that. The water is usually a teal when the sky is blue, so I'm not as worried about those tones not matching perfectly. So go ahead and we're going to grab that linear gradient, and we're going to select the bottom area, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to warm her on up. Maybe cool it down. No, cool it down. Desaturate it a little bit. Bring the brightness up, pump a little contrast in there, bring the shadow up, drop the shadows. Like the high contrast down here, and it also balances with the buildings up top. I like to personally take a lot of things out. So we're not saying take out this entire bottom part, take out this line across the water, because those are things that are actually in the photo. But I'm talking like if we zoom in and really wanted to be crazy, which I might do now I'm talking about it, but I'm not going to. Like, take this out, take that out. Screw it, let's do it. We're in the deep end. If you're in this far, so far. Also, I've mentioned it before, I'm not gonna upload the photo right away for you guys to edit alongside. Throw a comment, and as soon as 10 people comment it, I'll upload the photo with a link, and you can start to edit alongside me. So right now we're getting just the classic healing tool. One thing again, and I know people aren't going to like me saying this over and over again, but it doesn't have to be perfect. This is such a small part of the image. So going back, let's get out of this healing tool. We're going to go to the clone stamp tool, because all this along here is the same. Grab that car. Oh, I like this part more. Okay. Grab this car. Yep, I'm fine with that. Grab that car. Yep, cool. Nervous about this one. We got to really dive in. Oh, what are you doing grabbing from up there? We have no business being up there. Oh, get that white out of there. Alrighty, grab that car. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. So now let's zoom in on the shoreline. We are pixel peeping right now. Going over. So let's go ahead, zoom out, and I think we just need to darken all that, to be totally honest. I don't like this line that we have going across. Jesus, it's driving me crazy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're gonna get that stamp tool that we were using before and go to those lighter areas, and we're gonna grab it from below. Grab that, just go, oh, nope, we want to grab that, and we want it to go right down below. And we're just gonna go ahead, delete that. Ew. And yeah, let's, oh my gosh, this is a mess. Yep, and yeah, we can grab it from over there. Ew, grab that. Yeah, go over down there. This line right here, we don't want you anymore. You should not exist. Goodbye, sir. All right, zoom out, and I like that. So that's before and after for our little selections in the second image, but let's see this one next to the original. So this right here is the original after cropping, and then that's the final product. Talk about changing the vibe of a photo. That's what we do here. That's what the job is, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you didn't comment in the last video about where I should do this next. If it's Chicago again, by all means, I'm down. Realistically, that might be the next video, but this is something I'm trying to take all over the country and all over the world. So let's make it happen. You subscribing, helping me really does help, and I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video, and let me know if you enjoyed this editing low-key style of me at night editing this photo, so I can show it to you guys. Peace out. Love you guys.